minus 1 less than x less than or equal to 4, where x belongs to R. If I want to write this in an interval form, I will write this as a parenthesis first because no equality is associated with minus 1, and minus 1 is a lesser number between these two, minus 1 and 4. Okay, so minus 1 I'll start with a parenthesis, and 4 is a greater number, and if you see, equality is also associated with 4. So therefore I will give a box bracket here. Okay, so this is 6 3 6 4 x such that minus 4 less than or equal to x less than 7. How do we write this in interval form? Again, if you see, minus 4 is the lesser number, so we write minus 4 first, and equality is associated with minus 4, so we give a box bracket here. And 7 has no equality associated with it and is a greater number, so we write 7 later and we give a parenthesis here. Okay, this set means all the numbers between 4 and 7 inclusive of 4. That means x can be equal to 4, but x cannot be equal to 7. X will always remain less than 7. So all the real numbers between minus 4 and 7 inclusive of minus 4, but not 7. Number 5, x such that x less than or equal to 3 union 5 less than x less than or equal to 9. X belongs to R. Okay, x less than or equal to 3 union 5 less than x less than R. So this consists of union of two intervals. What intervals? First is x less than or equal to 3. X less than or equal to 3 means, so starting from minus infinity till 3, and because you have an equality associated with 3, you'll give a box bracket. So this covers, this is the interval for this union, and you have the next interval where x lies between 5 and 9. So x is not equal to 5, so we'll give a parenthesis and we have a 9. Okay, so this is what this is. This is a union of two intervals. Number 6, x such that x greater than or equal to 99, x belongs to R. Now this x consists of all real numbers that are greater than 99, and if you see 99 has equality, so we'll give a box bracket with 99 and it will continue till plus infinity, and we give a parenthesis because we don't associate box brackets with infinity. 7, x such that x not equal to 1, x belongs to R. Now this is something very interesting. X is a real number, but x is not equal to 1. So x can take any value, any real value, but not 1. So how will I represent this? You can represent this in two ways, remember. First way is, see, R is nothing but minus infinity to infinity. This set is minus infinity to infinity. And from this, because x cannot take the value 1, I will remove the singleton set 1. This is one way of representing. Okay. What is the other way of representing this? The other way of representing is in terms of union of intervals. We start from minus infinity. Because x cannot be equal to 1, from minus infinity, we reach 1. And we give a parenthesis because x cannot be equal to 1. Union. And then we start from 1 and reach till plus infinity. Okay. So we have two notations for this. Is this clear or not? Good. Next is 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Can you represent this in form of intervals? Because this is not continuous. After 1, you have 3. After 3, you have 5. So then what about the middle values in between all these? So this cannot be represented as a real number interval. As an interval of real numbers. Okay. Number 9. Now you have, instead of the set, they have given you a number line. And this number line, if you see, this extends from minus infinity till -1, and you have a vertical line above -1. So that means, what is this interval here? The interval here is starting from minus infinity, you are reaching till -1. And is it equal to -1? You have a vertical line, not a curved line above 1 to give a box bracket. Okay. Number 10. You see, in this, you have all the values between -1 and 4. So what should be the interval here? If you see, you have a curved line above -4. So you associate a parenthesis here with -4, comma. And then you have a vertical line above -1. That means -1, we give a box bracket. So all the real numbers between -4 and 1, which are not inclusive of -4, but inclusive of -1. Okay. So I hope this concept is clear to everyone. Concept of intervals. If this is okay, then we can proceed to the next part of sets, which is universal sets and some operations and properties. Okay, universal set. You know what a universal set is? If all the sets under consideration I think before this is subset. So we'll not start universal set because I just came across the word subsets. We'll do subsets first. Subsets. Now, what is a subset? If all the elements of a set A are also in B, then A is called a subset of B. And is written as A subset of B. Okay, now what do you mean by proper subset of B? Proper subset and subset, the only difference is that the sets can be equal also in case of proper subset, in case of subsets. That is, we represent this as this. This is actually the representation for subsets. Proper subsets are represented as A in this. Okay, in this case, A will always have, A cannot have all the elements of, uh, uh, in fact, A will always have, or B will contain all the elements of A, but A cannot be equal to B. Okay, then it is called a proper subset. Now, loosely, what we call, we mostly, the proper subset we refer to as subsets only. Okay, just remember this. When I say subsets, I actually mean proper subset in most of the cases. Okay, I don't need to give you examples on subsets, but with this we'll discuss some theorems on subsets. First theorem on subsets is that every set is a subset of itself. Any set that you consider will always be a subset of itself. Every set is a subset of itself. Consider the set A will be a subset of A or proper subset of A. Okay, consider the set B, any set, you define it any way you want, it will always be a subset of itself. Next theorem is that The empty set is a subset of every set, or the null set is a subset of every set. Any set that you consider, any set, any way you define a set, okay, the null set will always be a subset. Okay, so we write this as mathematically the null set is a subset of any set that you consider. Okay, very important theorem which we shall be using later on also. Theorem number 3. Now theorem number 3 is that if A is a subset of B and B is a subset of C, means A must also be a subset of C. Okay, this actually is called transitivity in sets. Transitivity of subsets. Okay, this theorem you don't need to remember the name, but this is called transitivity. Okay. Now, before I proceed to the next theorem, the small thing I need to mention that when I'm saying subsets, mathematically, subsets means that if X be an element of A, then X must also be let me write it this way. A is a subset of B, means double implication. X belongs to A must imply X belong to B. This is a very important relation. A lot of theorems can be proved with the help of this. In fact, in sets, most of the theorem that we prove with the help of this. Okay. Now I can show you a very small proof of this with the help of this. This is just for demonstration, not this such proof will not come. Okay. So here I start by saying, let X be an element of A. Let X belongs to A. So A is a subset of B, means let's call it. So X belongs to A means X must belong to B. Why? Because A is a subset of B, right? Now X belongs to A means X belongs to B. Also, X belongs to B means X belongs to C. Why? Because B is a subset of C. That means X belongs to A implies X belongs to C. And by definition, we can say if X belongs to A implies X belongs to C, that means A must be a subset of C. Okay, so that is proved. This was just a small proof based on this mathematical result. Okay, we discuss the next theorem on subsets. Also a very important theorem. It is used to define. It is used to prove a lot of results. Okay, that if A is a subset of B and B is a subset of C, B is a subset of A, means A must be equal to B. Very important. That if A and B be two sets such that they are subsets of each other, A is a subset of B and B is a subset of A, then we can say A and B both must be equal. Okay, very important result. You can also prove this result with the help of mathematical definition of subsets. Next is number of subsets of a given set. number of subsets of a given set. A set is very important for your multiple choice questions. A set having n elements has 2 to the power of n subsets in total, in all. Example. Let us consider a very simple set. Suppose we consider set A is equal to xyz. It has 3 elements. What are the subsets of this set? The possible subsets are first is the null set, because we know null set is a subset of every set. Next is each of these singleton sets will be a subset of A. Next, what doubleton sets, or each element taken 2 at a time. These will be the subsets. And what else? This, right? Can you think of any other subset? No. So if you count how many subsets are there, you see that there are 8 subsets. Thus, the set A having 3 elements has 2 to the power of 3 equal to 8 subsets in all. No other subset is possible. Okay, next we come to the definition of set of sets or family of sets. A set whose elements are sets themselves are called set of sets or family of sets. Example, if I consider the set A as right, this set, if you see, it contains sets themselves, right? It contains how many? This set contains how many sets? It contains 3 sets. So the set A is called set of set. Set of sets. Okay, so family of sets should be clear. Next is a very important definition, which we call as the power set. Power set of a set. The power set of a set A is a set consisting of all the possible subsets of A. It is denoted by PA. So set of PA is nothing but a set of set. For example, let us take the set A as, say, consisting of 2 elements only for simplicity's sake, XY. Then the power set of A, denoted by PA, consists of all the possible subsets that can be formed from A. What is the first subset of A? A null set. What is the next subset? X. What is the next subset? Y. And what is the next subset? XY. So this is the power set. So what you see here is, we see that PA contains how many elements? Contains 2 square elements. 4. Why did I write 2 square? Because I see that A has 2 elements. Okay, so this is called the power set of A. So if I give you a set, it will be very easy for you to write down the power set of that set. We'll see this in the exercises. Further examples in the exercises we'll see. Universal set. If all the sets under consideration are subsets of a particular set, say U, then U is called the universal set. We have already discussed universal set in detail back in class 8. Suppose if I am considering students, right? If I suppose if I consider the universal set as the students of Marian Coeducational School, then class 1, students of class 1 will be a subset of U. Students of class 2 will be a subset of U. Students of class 3 will be a subset of U. Students of class 9A will be a subset of U. Okay, so whatever set that I am considering will be a subset of U, which is students of Marian Coeducational School. Okay, suppose the football team. If a Marian Coeducational School has a football team, then this football team will also be a subset of the set of students of Marian Coeducational School, which is denoted by U. So that is what universal set is. Next, Venn diagram, is the diagrammatic representation of sets. Diagrammatic representation of sets are done by Venn diagrams. And you already know that in Venn diagram, the sets are represented by circles. The universal set is represented by a rectangle. You already know this, right? So no need to go over this. Next, we come to operations on sets. There are 4 kinds of operations on sets. 4 types of operations on sets. What are those? Union, intersection, complementation, and difference. 4 types of operations on sets. Okay. We first discuss what we call as the union of sets. The union of 2 sets A and B is a set denoted by A union B, and is defined as, very important definition, again mathematical definition. A union B is equal to X such that X belongs to A, or Union is always associated with or. X belongs to A or X belongs to B. Okay, this is the union of sets. This is how we define union of set. You have done ample number of examples, so I'm not discussing examples for union. When we'll be doing problems, we'll be see. But for the time being, this is the most important definition that you must remember for the union of sets. Okay, next is the intersection of sets. The intersection of two sets. Okay, before discussing intersection, let me just discuss the Venn diagrammatic representation of union. Venn diagrammatic representation of union. How will it look like? You've already done for two sets. For A and B, this is your universal set. So union of two sets will be denoted by this shaded part. Okay, this shaded part represents the union of sets. For two sets. For three sets, what will happen? For three sets, A, B, and C, all the part within the circles. This is obviously a universal set. Okay, so this is A union B, and this is A union B union C. Okay, next we come to the properties of union. Important properties. First property of union is A union B union A union B is equal to B union A. Okay, this is called the commutative property with respect to union. Okay, next is A union B union C is equal to A union B union C. This is called the associative property with respect to union. Write the full one. With respect to union. Next is that A must always be a subset of A union B. And not only A, but B will always be a subset of A union B also. Okay. The fourth one is that if A is a subset of B, means the union of two sets A and B must be equal to B. Okay, this is the fourth property of union. Okay, and the last property is that a set taken union with a null set will give you the set itself. Okay, so these are the properties of union. Next, I'll just define intersection and I will call it a day. Intersection of sets. That is the next operation. The intersection of two sets A and B is a set denoted by A intersection B and is defined as A intersection B is equal to X such that X belongs to A and X belongs to B. So and is always associated with intersection. Remember this, okay? Sometimes they don't write and, sometimes they simply give a comma in between. X such that X belongs to A, comma, X belongs to B. The comma means and, okay? So again, these two, I don't need to mention the examples. So what I will mention here is the Venn diagrammatic representation. For two sets. A and B. Let's write it below. So universal set. The intersection will be represented by this part in Venn diagrams. So this is A intersection B. For three sets, the intersection will be the common part of these circles. This is A, B, C, union, and this shaded part is A intersection B intersection C. Okay. Now properties of intersection I'll be discussing in the next class. So I'll stop here.